Got it.
I'm on point today.
Mate, you're doing great. We're nearing the end here. People are getting tired. It is a Saturday. I don't know what that means, but... Dreamcatcher. How do you feel about Dreamcatcher?
This is actually my favorite map at the moment.
Really?
Just in terms of interestingness, because I like maps that force different play styles. As someone who no longer relies upon, consistent play and results, involving my income and ability to be a successful pro gamer, I'm like, I like this map because it's different, like I have that luxury now as someone who gets to sit on the sidelines and watch the games. I'm sure some pro players, especially in certain matchups, would have choice words about the map and say it's better for this race or this strategy. But for me, I just enjoy the fact that, it does get really interesting. Now, that last game, I don't think we really got to see Dreamcatcher in Zerg vs. Terran. That's why I'm very excited to hear the countdown noise, because I think if Iaguz and Hut goes a little bit longer here, we're really going to see a very interesting battle where Iaguz is going to fight so hard to get creep through the middle of the map. Hut is going to fight so hard to stop it. And we're going to see some really cool siege tank positions over these ledges.
I'm looking forward to this, man. And the game has begun.
My man, here we go. It is going to be the first game of this best of 3. It is the lower bracket finals. The winner of this match will be going up against Probe in the grand finals. Down here in the bottom right-hand side of Dreamcatcher, the red Terran, he is Iaguz.
That is hot. Up here in the top left, we have the Zerg player from OSC. It is Iaguz.
It's going to be a good map here. As we both...
I love you. I love you too.
Oh, my lord. Good stuff.
Anyway.
Full first for Iaguz.
Bit of safety. Maybe a little afraid of the proxy racks.
Yeah, I guess look at those overload paths, right? It's like, where's the cheeky barracks? Wouldn't it be funny if he put them just between the two destructible rocks? He just did a double proxy barracks right there in this little triangle of darkness.
Yep.
That would be. That. I don't think we'd get a GG from Iaguz if that happens.
No, man. Definitely not. Not for that. So far, it's a safe play from Iaguz, and we're seeing the standard opening from Hut, so it's a bit hard to read exactly how these guys are going to try and play it out from here.
Yeah, it's going to be, of course, just the, kind of barracks gas expand for Hut. He's going to be doing the SCV scout, which he's been doing that to maintain his safety in this series. And in his earlier series as well. 2 Zerglings are going to be snuck out by Iaguz, but they're going to get spotted by that SCV. So he's actually going to try and kill the SCV as it comes up the ramp. Realizes that, of course...
Accepting his fate, he just sits there for a second, like, yep, I'm done.
Does get to check the gas at least, but not a big deal either way. So, straight into a reactor after the Reaper. The Reaper stayed at home. He realizes, hey, you've gone pool first. Maybe there was another 2 Lings you snuck out. Best to stay safe, keep the Reaper at home. And a second barracks. So a bit more 2-on-1 play.
Interesting. Alright, so do you think we're going to see a potential fast-ish kind of drop from Iaguz? Going to a second racks like that? Maybe putting on the aggression a little quicker?
Yeah.
Going for third base?
It's going to be interesting. I definitely think Hut's going to be maybe going for that double siege tank we keep seeing with the Marines. We've got, of course, Iaguz just going for the third hatch. Yeah, I think realistically with this natural ramp being so tight, it really is always about trying to do damage only once your opponent gets to 3 bases for both sides, right? Very rarely will you see someone try to bust up the natural ramp, such a choked up area. But definitely something we're going to keep our eyes on. Iaguz here, so mineral efficient, just fully pulls off gas and just focuses so much on the minerals in this early stage. I really like the way he kickstarts his game. He's definitely mastered the mineral build-up stage of Zerg vs. Terran, and I feel like we haven't really seen Iaguz struggle really hard, with some of these Hellion drop builds or something like that. I feel like maybe could catch him off guard a little. Yeah. But he's just kind of in his comfort zone in the early game, and he keeps setting himself up so well until the Terrans either match him in that middle stage after he opens up this nicely, or they disrupt him in some way. I feel like Iaguz continue doing a lot of work throughout this series.
It's such a flat map, isn't it? Like there's just so much space for and I feel like that really gives Zerg the advantage, kind of defending everything. As long as creep spreads there, just so much more of an opportunity to surround an army if it does try and engage in any direction.
That's true. It's definitely something where, because there's so many ledges though, like you can set up tanks behind a lot of these cliffs and they reach so far. And especially with like these middle rocks, when they get taken down, it just cuts off the front path and you can kind of set up siege tanks behind those. So what I've been wondering is, a Zerg player is going to start collapsing their own frontal path, and just so they can clear the rocks earlier. Because otherwise Terran can run up, break those rocks down and be like, yeah, like it's very awkward for you to flank this now. You've got to go all the way around. And as you take a fourth, you get quite spread out. Like, so, you know, say a drop on the north and a tank push on the south. It's really interesting, because I agree that, like, if the Zerg gets the creep and gets in the right position, it's great. But it's hard for the Zerg to get the creep out through the middle normally, to get the creep beyond these hedges and sight blockers and that sort of stuff. So real contest for the map control, though, definitely something which is always being focused on. Here comes the double drop. It's a very fast hitting one, but only about 12 Marines.
We are seeing a lot of lings on the way, but is there 20 out? I don't think that'll be enough, but there is a lot. Well, Queen's going to be engaging before the lings are in action.
Yeah, only 13 Marines, so it's... Oh, doesn't actually manage to take down that creep tumor there.
The tumor curse continues.
Yeah, Hut not having a good day with those creep tumors. And here we go. He's going to try to at least keep back the vision here, but Iaguz all over it. Oh, nice wraparound. Gets on top of that, shuts down a few of those Marines. The wind already knocked out of Hut's sails, and I talked about how they're going to need to disrupt Iaguz. These Terran players are going to need to work on doing this a bit differently. I think he already hasn't really achieved what he wanted to with this push. He wanted to get over there specifically very early, which is why he went with only 13 Marines. What is it now, 6 Marines and 2 medevacs? That's nothing.
Yeah, that is like creep tumor duty and nothing more at this rate. And I mean, with 6 creep queens, Iaguz is going to like replenish anything that is lost at this point. Really solid start, and I love the amount of queens for this map as well. I feel like creep spread is just going to do wonders here.
Yeah, this is why I've actually really enjoyed watching Hellion styles on this map, something like Hellion Banshee or Hellion Cyclone, because I feel like you never really get the creep get out into this middle area. And since Iaguz has done that, that's already part of the job. I think he does need to work to get it even further. If he can get it to the center of the Dreamcatcher, that's going to be huge, right? Where these Marines are passing right now. Like, that's where Hut really will struggle 100%. Already we've got a siege tank coming across here with this 1-1, and combat shields are finishing up right now. Hut to stage this attack from here. The Ling Bane running forward.
Didn't get this around that time. Got to be careful now. Bailing speed miles away, but I don't see Hut engaging beyond this point. Just trying to shave off as much creep as he can in the mid game. Stop it creeping in the middle.
Yeah, I think that's the main goal for now. You know, if you can control this area, you can branch into both of those bases, right? It's so awkward as Zerg to defend that. I think at this point, Iaguz, he's got so much Ling Bane, but he doesn't have Bane speed. And he's only got Queens, no mutas. I really feel he should have cut off reinforcements and be looking for big counterattacks. If anything, just to threaten and slow down Hut's reinforce. But now Hut is like, okay, cool. I'm pushing your creep back. You're not able to replace that. More tanks rallying across. 2-2 is on the way. Still no third CC down for Hut. He's going to place that in the main just now. But yeah, he's looking for the damage. He really wants to start trading now.
Ooh, I wonder if he's going to start working on rocks now as well. He's setting up shop here, so he definitely wants to.
Oh, yeah. Maybe thinking about mutas, maybe it's for the tumors as well, building a missile turret here. Wouldn't mind a few bunkers, actually. This position, I mean, that's the siege tank position. The Ling counter goes across the map now.
Oh, man, those Bailings. Oh, some of them are getting in range. Big hits. Nice pickup as well.
The Ling flank, though, from the south. Yeah, that's what we were waiting for. Great preparation by Iaguz. He just had the numbers here, and his attack took a little bit too long to eventualize. No spotting unit on the south to see that flank coming in. You know, if Hut saw that, he could have evacuated a little bit sooner. But now, look at the supply. Holy hot damn.
That is a big difference, man.
He's just out macroing these Terrans. They're just not finding the damage. I mean, the 2-1-1's not a bad build, but Iaguz has got a handle on it. These guys have got to start doing something different.
Yeah, he was just way too comfy in the early game, and he got everything he needed, man. The amount of drones on 70 drones now. he's pretty much set up for mid to late game. Like, he just needs to make an army at this point, tech to tier 3, and just keep this lead going. 50 supply lead at this point. And the third base only now going down for HUD. That is a fifth base started for Iaguz.
Yeah, fully saturated fourth. Like, oh man, the Hive's about to be starting against 110 supply Terran, who's only now having his fourth and fifth barracks finish. You know, don't want to harp on about it, but it's just crazy. You know, with this sort of build, the 2-1-1, part of the reason it fell out of fashion is Zerg's got so comfortable defending it, but it's not just that. It's always relied on you keeping your first Marines and Medevacs alive and really threatening and getting damage done with them and constantly clearing creep and forcing a big overreaction. And whenever your first pressure, your second pressure gets shut down really hard like this, it's just such a huge momentum swing because you committed so much to that. If the Zerg's built a big economy and shuts down your pressure, it's a very, very hard situation to recover from.
Liking this though, bit of a counterattack. Can he get up the ramp? He does, into natural.
Wow. That hurts. Hut gonna lose quite a few units here. A couple of SCVs getting focused down. Not too bad on the defense. Does only lose 2 SCVs in the end. A lot of them got damaged though.
Just the distraction alone as well. Just forcing the army to go back. And even a little scout as well, just to see what exactly Hut is doing in his natural. Everything about that is just good for Iaguz. This engagement, not so much, but Iaguz can afford. He's maxed out. He can start throwing units away.
Yep, Iaguz definitely can start fiddling with the food on his plate right now. That's a lot of Terran munchies for this Zerg army. Nom nom nom, here they come, the swarm just rolling through. More Banelings than there are Marines right now. Doesn't matter how good the siege tank shots in the micro is from Hut, he's just not got the numbered. And the Hydras are going to capitalize in on that. Ooh, good repair, but Banelings, another wave of Banelings comes through.
Another wave of Banelings, and this is going down no matter what by the looks of things. A lot of Hydras left over, but all the Ling Bane have gone, all the meat. So I guess gotta be careful not to throw too much away, though. With that command center kill, a massive lead indeed.
It's kind of funny. I feel like if Iaguz came from both sides there, this game is so over. It's one of these things, sometimes you're so much in control of the game in Zerg vs. Terran, you kind of take these slightly messy fights. Hut did just shoot down one of his own medevacs.
I saw that.
Apparently she wasn't doing her job well enough. He was like,
yeah.
I gotta take out my anger on someone, and it's you, yellow hit point medevac.
Well, he's going to be rotating down to that fifth base, maybe trying to start his way there, Mr. Hut. And, well, it's not much of an army, I got to say. He's down about 60 supply, got a couple of tanks in the mix, and he's going to begin on these creep tumors, slowly edge his way up. Iaguz having nothing of it.
Uh-oh. Viper's on the way, about to pop. Going to be looking very nice. And the Marines, they're just kind of trying desperately to get some leeway, some advantage. And, you know, I love these siege tank positions so much, but look at the creep spread. And the link counters every time have just like been like, yeah, well, if I attack from the terrible choke point, I'll get wrecked. But Iaguz is not doing that. He's not fighting into the bad positions. He just keeps flanking around and overwhelming. And, yeah, Hut here. The desperate 2-base push coming across the map, trying to force his way through. He does have 3-3, which is nice. But I think it's just a matter of time until Iaguz feels like closing his jaws.
Just got to get that surround, or just going head first. Looks like it is head first. Great value from the tanks, but is it going to be enough?
Blinding Cloud drops down. Siege tanks completely shut down. And that was about as clinical as it gets. Iaguz, well warmed up from his previous series, just runs away with the advantage in that game. And takes a very quick 1-0 advantage in the series.
Man, very dominating indeed. Just, yeah, he was very at home on that. Knew exactly what he had to do, and I loved how many queens he got that early. Pulling the gas like that seems to just, yeah, it definitely works out well if they're not going to be punished for it, right? Maybe the Hellion drop would be a good idea. I don't know what other sort of creative ways you could deal with that sort of greedy opening where you are forsaking gas for just lings and queens, essentially.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. You know, I definitely think you were talking about mech earlier. I think mech is always nice, and there are some of these amazing Hellion Cyclone openings where you create a lot of threat. There was even, you know, the innovation into bio build, where it's like you go Hellion Cyclone and you're like, am I going to hit you with Hellbats and Cyclones? And you're like roaming around clearing creep, and you try to get an overreaction, and then you go into bio off it. That was like this super cool meta play, which Innovation was doing for a while, where you'd have these Zerg players like being like, oh, I'm going to swap from Banelings into Roaches and stuff. And they'd be like, oh, what? You've got Stim Marines and Medevacs coming out? I think that's cool, but just generally speaking, mobility may be the answer. Hellion drop in the main, while Hellions poke at the third, a really nice way to play. We've seen that quite a bit recently in the Korean leagues. Random Liberators joining in. You know, you open up with the Viking, but you get a Liberator that queues up in there as well. I think the Banshees aren't really finding their mark.
What do you think about, do we see Hellbats anymore in the mix? Like some sort of like early Hellbat play, Hellbat or Hellbat and Cyclone?
I think definitely that can be really nice into mech. Like just the classic like 6 or 8 Hellbats and 2 Cyclones is very powerful pressure. Yeah, I think there's a few options here. You know, definitely we're seeing, obviously the big problem with Terran is you've only got so many builds you've practiced, and you need to have your builds well practiced. You can't just make it up on the fly. So it kind of comes down to, what does Hut have in his deck of cards? What has he got he can play out? Let's go. We are launching into map number 2 here, and down a game in this series. In the bottom right-hand side of the map, representing Sif Gaming, he is Hut.
And up here in the top left in the blue for OSC, it is Iaguz. Very solid game 1. Another pretty lengthy map as well. I feel like this really favors Iaguz and his style. Just greedy and getting the creep out, and a lot of queens.
Yeah, it's a good way to play. You know, I love it. It's one of these funny things where there are points in the meta where either as the Zerg you feel impetuous and impervious to damage. You feel like you can't take damage if you just build a lot of queens and do it well. And as the Terran, sometimes you fall into trap being like, wow, queens just block everything I do. Yeah. And it's something I've been on both sides of. And it's really funny because it's very fine differences. It's not a grand strategic change necessarily of like, well, the 2-1-1's the wrong build here. No. We're just seeing these 2-1-1s are finding their way into a very well-prepared Iaguz. They're not keeping the Marines alive. They're not finding the correct rotation angles. And they're not being decisive enough with their follow-up for it. Likewise, when we have seen Hellion openings, we haven't really seen any of these more wild Hellion openings where there is, you know, that maybe Hellbats in the main. You know, you drop 4 Hellions, morph them into Hellbats, 4 Hellbats on the third at the same time, like you mentioned.
Let's get crazy, man. Let's do some damage to Iaguz's drones, because he's just making them.
Exactly.
A lot of them.
One of the cool things, like, you know, I'm sure you've been on the receiving end of this, is, you know, when you play like the really, really top end Terrans, and it's like a single Reaper, and then the first 2 Hellions come off a gas first, and then like they start damaging your first queen, and they snipe a creep tumor, or they like delay your third by blocking it with an SCV, and the Reaper gets the drone. These little advantages can build into big ones, where your Hellions keep damaging the queens and keep bouncing it off creep with your grenade or something. You catch a queen out on its own. These sort of things can build up into a big advantage. They can force a Zerg to build Zerglings earlier, which delays the drones. And the thing is, the Zerg economy, it builds exponentially. If you let it start up well, then it can get out of control.
Yeah, it's small like crazy, right?
Yeah.
Good start here. The Reaper here to deny any sort of drone. I mean, stock standard, but every second counts, I think, at this rate. And yeah, I do miss those, you know, like the Reaper into the very early Hellion, Banshee follow-up, and just, ooh, the Reaper moved away. The drone gets the that's a division. That's
like such unfortunate timing, right? You're like, is he just taking that on the third? And it's right at that second the drone moves. You're like, oh, really, man?
Oh, man. It's unfortunate. But
I like the Hellion opening, though, from Hut. You know, it looks like Banshees, but the Tech Lab could mean anything. You just get the Tech Lab to, like, be like, you've got to build Spore Crawler, Zerg player, because I might make click Banshees. And obviously, once the Overlord's gone, that's fine. So it'll be a Viking first for Hut to deny the info. Then we can see what he does. Unfortunately, oh, no, it's all good. Yeah, his Reaper's being a bit more annoying this time, but Iaguz's very focused on creep spread. And not really getting any snipes on those tumors yet. He's going to come in, Hut, looking for it. Is he going to find it? Nope.
Ooh. He's got to be careful. Nearly lost that Reaper. He needs that Reaper to stay alive for the time being.
Iaguz almost finished the job. He accidentally A-moved his tumor. It survived on 5 hit points there. It was like a moment. Oh, man, that's great. Lots of players killing
actually
today.
I know, right? What is with that? Now the creep starts to go out there. It's going to be going down the ramp outside the natural and third, connecting them up. So Iaguz, no doubt, feeling a little bit safer after all that.
Oh my lord, Iaguz's economy exploding. He knows this scouting overlord's going to go down, so he's built 3 extra overlords ahead of time. Just great planning. You know, this is his comfort zone. He's done this hundreds and hundreds of times. The Hellions go looking for the Zerglings. Zergling slides in and says, hey, let's get some info. Iaguz, free map vision. No, oh, he's not going to actually go.
Oh, he got greedy. He went for the SCV kill. Doesn't get to see the Cloak Banshees on the way, but probably a safe assumption, to be honest.
Should have fed that Zergling dinner before he sent him scouting. He just got too hungry, man. He was like, oh, this tasty SCV, let's eat that.
Imagine if that was the thing, man. Like, you had to, like, you can't, because your units will lose control.
You have, like, animosity tests for Zerg and stuff. Like, you one Ultralist, you starts fighting the Ultralist next to it, or something. He's like, starts stampeding your Banelings and stuff. You're like, no, bad Ultra! You need to have Overseers, like, within a certain range to stop them from killing each other and stuff.
Based on the supply, like, Overseers for every unit. You need, like, an Overseer for every Ultra, or it'll start going crazy. Oh my god, that'd be the worst game ever.
Ooh, little misclick there from Hart, loses a Hellion. Nice snipe on the creep on the left-hand side, though. We are going to see Bio once again. Zergling does spot the 3rd CC. And Banshee comes into the main. Queen is like, no, get out of here. Iaguz doesn't pull the drones away, though, so loses 3 drones. Bit lazy from Iaguz there. He had a lot of time to react to that and didn't really respect it as much as maybe he should have.
You always got to respect the Banshee's damage, man. It's ridiculous. 2-shotting everything. And another nice tumor kill. I'm liking this activity that we're seeing from Hunt, man. Dealing with tumors a lot more this game.
Yep. Banshee is going to come in there. I'd love to see that cloak and just kill those creep tumors that we're making, but I think he wants to group up these 2 Banshees, do another run by into the main or natural, and try to grab some of these workers. The Queen's desperately trying to save that Overlord, but I think the Viking will get it. Oh, no!
He decides no. At the same time, another nice denial. Oh, Banshee's actually going to start working on the Queens this time as the second one joins it. Anyone won?
For Hot, there was a slow reaction. That Banshee didn't have energy to cloak, so the weak Banshee is actually like very vulnerable right now. A bit of damage though. This is nice, like just kind of keeping Iaguz in check. Iaguz gets angry.
He doesn't like this lair.
Like, no, you're a stupid lair.
Build faster.
Interesting wall off on Iaguz's 3rd to stop Hellion run-bys. That's interesting. Because this is nice, but at the same time, if you don't have any units there, it like traps them. Like they can't escape, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm a bit conflicted about that one. Hasn't happened yet, though.
The bio is starting to build up nicely. We've got 1-1 well underway. Hut does need to remember that armory. That's one of the big things here, which I think could have been crisped up in just about every Terran player's play today, is like just a slightly smoother transition into 2-2. I think would have maybe changed the outcome of some games. And these Zerglings on the right engaging the Hellions. Hellions doing some nice micro. My lord, that's a lot of Lings going across the map. The Banshees are coming home, but yeah, with Marines and tanks in position, I think he's okay. The Hellions, though,
Oh man, they're all getting picked apart. This is a lot of damage being done. He needs these Hellions. Oh,
he leaves one, alive. Says, tell your friends that we're coming. Don't you dare burn our creep ever again. That armory is so late. Oh no. So,
why do you think we're seeing roaches at this point of the game? Do you think he just decides to, I'm not going to go Hydras this time, I'm going to go Ravagers?
I never really understand this style. I guess obviously it's like biles on tanks are really good, right? But yeah, like, so if you kind of like just stop the Terran moving across the map, because it's a smaller map, maybe that's good, but like they're expensive. Ravagers are so expensive for such a terrible stats unit, right? It's also very chunky. So they kind of block your other units. That being said, if he catches the tanks exposed and it's just like bam, triple bile down 2 or 3 of the tanks, it could be good. So we'll have to wait and see. Solar does really well with it, so we'll see if Iaguz can do the same as Solar. And here we go. Oh my lord! Oh my lord! Tanks in the open. He's got to run the Marine. Run the Marines.
Picking him up. I'm surprised here.
Oh, saves 2 at the last second on red hit points. That was, yeah, I mean, I was like, his Marines had to run left, and he had to send the medevacs to save the tanks. And only losing 1 tank and gets a 4th snipe, that's actually good for Hut if he repairs these siege tanks. Very, very close to having a disaster, though.
We're seeing a lot more lings being made, a lot more banelings. The upgrades are all coming together as well.
Hut thinks he's being busted.
Yeah, I think so. Hunt's getting safety first, and I think that's a good idea, considering how much Iaguz is massing. I feel like he's going to be going for an attack, right? He's got to be.
Yeah. This is one of those compositions that just rolls over you, right? If you get caught in a bad position. But, like, if Terran gets 2-2 and maxes out, they're like, oh, like, if I get 7 siege tanks, your army is terrible if I've got 7 tanks spread out, you know? But anywhere up to that point, Terran wants to be pushing back creep. They want to be out on the map. So it kind of, like, it capitalizes on what Terran wants to do. Terran gets too far on the map, you jump on it and you crush it. But Iaguz actually is going to be going for a 4th command center, or is he just starting to long distance? He's just sent all of his workers out of his main base accidentally on the right-hand side of the map. Oh my lord. Iaguz making a huge mistake.
Just Marine gives it away shooting a tumor. But I definitely think it's a perfect idea from Hunt to be doing these kind of drops. Now that he's seen the army composition, he's like, oh, okay. So you're looking to steamroll me if I come onto the map, so I gotta start getting crafty here.
Ooh, I mean, his 2-2 is so delayed. I know I hate to keep harping on about it, but that I feel like is a bit of a frustration. But you know what? I guess now that his tank count's building, as long as 2-2 finishes before the next fight, it doesn't really affect the outcome of this game. That's the problem, though, is Hut wants to push right now, and he's got 50, 60 seconds until that upgrade actually finishes. So this is going to be a dangerous push here. Iaguz trying to get up to Broodlords right now. And Hive and Spire are both almost finished. A triple drop towards the main base and a push on the right. But look at this push. It's so weak. What are you doing?
It's so small, man. I think he's just trying to create a distraction, right, for this triple drop up the left side. But he's going to be losing a lot of units for this.
Oh, man. And he flies right into a Spore Crawl on the left-hand side. Oh, no. This is just a little bit too ballsy for Hut. Most of his siege tanks were back in his natural and third base. This triple drop does get into the main. If he can get the Spire, that will be nice. But I think the Lings just get the wraparound. The Marines are all heavily wounded. And looks like Iaguz.
I think without the 2-2, it made a difference as well. If he had that 2-2, the Ling killing would be a lot easier.
Absolutely. +2 Carapace is, of course, finished right now. And it looks like, here we go. Greatest Spire on the way. Adrenal +3 Carapace started. Nice work account for Iaguz. That 4th CC is starting to float for Hut, sorry. Command Center is starting to float over there. So used to the Terran being Iaguz. Just going to constantly change the names here.
No, I know. It's tricky, man. I'm not used to it either, and it's been how long?
It's been so many tournaments now. It's like we shouldn't have this problem anymore, but we do.
It's just not the same. It's kind of strange. But here we go. Iaguz maxed out, looking for damage. Looking to crash through into the third base. Runs into a wall, literally.
A literal wall.
Literal. Drops drop play on both sides of the map as well.
So I guess he just goes to Ghosts and Vikings now. The advantage here is the Ravager Lingbane doesn't really support the air army well, but if he can keep his Queens alive and bring them with the Broodlords, Queens wreck Vikings, and they're just so good at supporting Broodlord Corruptor. So I think that's really Iaguz's goal, is if you can just get enough Queens up with your army, then that'll really help support. The Ghost count is what I want to see grow for Hut, and I want to see him focus on that more than anything else. I feel like if you can get up to 10, 12 Ghosts in here, few Vikings in the air, but not too many. Like, the Vikings force the Corruptors to come forward. Corruptors are very easy targets to snipe down, and once they're gone, that's when the Vikings do the work, right? The Vikings on their own don't get it done. The Ghosts on their own don't get it done. It's the combination that really works well together.
And on the other side of things, it's going to have to be Vipers, Corruptors, and those Broodlords all working in synergy to make sure that doesn't happen as well. You're going to have to get those corrosive biles off. You're going to have to make sure the positioning is perfect for those Broodlords as well, and that the Corruptors don't overcommit and get sniped. So it's quite a dance. Beautiful, beautiful dance.
No spellcasters out just yet for Iaguz. He's crashing through here a bit awkwardly. I don't know if he's trying to free up supply. Guess he does get that ship weapons upgrade. Almost, not quite.
Oh, nearly. I'm surprised he didn't commit biles to.
Yeah, I thought he was at the end there, but nice repair here from Hut. Starts getting these ship weapons going. +3 bioweapons is on the way. Doesn't have the armor upgrade going just yet. Of course, Hut a little bit stuffed for money. And his next quest here on Catalyst is taking the middle base. But right now that has Broodlords over it. So it's a battle of survival, trying to find a way to crack this Broodlord army. How many Corruptors have we got out right now? It is only 3, with 3 more building. The Queens are crucial here, but there's only 4, and they're well off creep, so I think Hut has the tools to break this if he micros it very well, but he's got to micro this very well.
Very surprised we're seeing this without Vipers, without Fungal, without anything that can really help deal with the Viking count.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting here. The Queens are getting up close. And the Vikings looking for an angle. They're going to start picking at this. There's 10 extra hit points on those new Vikings. Going to help them out a little bit. Look at this one-shotting Corruptors. No chance to transfuse there. I think those Vikings are going to rotate to the bottom left-hand side of this battle. Ooh, the Queens go too far forward. If you can snipe or EMP those Queens, they'll be gone. Broodlords are starting to disappear. The Banelings come forward. And here we go. Hut trying to spread the ghosts backwards. So many Banelings for Iaguz. Oh my lord. The tanks are all on the right-hand side of the map. Where were his siege tanks? They weren't over here. The Vikings are going to clean it up. But where's the bio? He doesn't have much left on the ground.
Yeah. So at the end of all things, the Vikings clean things up, and they could probably land and clean out even more. At the same time, though, the top right, the Marines have come down and started doing a lot of economic damage up there as well. So a bit of a base trade, though Iaguz has more bases to play with.
Yeah, definitely doesn't hurt him as bad. Of course, Mules will help equalize here, but that third command center is still alive for Hut, and Hut thinking about taking this base out to the bottom left. Sorry, this army to the bottom left of his position. Iaguz is not remaxing right now. And his army, his valuable Queens and Ravagers, kind of out in the open. It's going to start to retreat.
Having like a bit of a brain fart right now. Is he? I'm trying to figure out why he hasn't made that decision, has pulled the trigger on what exactly he wants to go.
I think he's not sure exactly what comp he wants. We've got 5 Liberators building at a time right now for Hut. Wow. I think maybe to deal with more air units, but that's just pure Ravager Baneling. You want just more siege tanks and more bio right now. Is Hut. Hut actually lost his third command center, by the way.
Big hits on the Banes, man. Oof. And a lot more Lings coming in too. I don't know about the Ling choice. I feel like we should be seeing more Corruptor, Viper, something to do with the Viking counts and the Liberators. Not that he knows they're really on the way yet.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Hydras?
Oh man, if Hut had kept that extra expansion alive, I'm just so sad for him about that single Queen. It's burrowed down at his third. That queen killed the command center on her own, chasing it for like a minute and just shooting needles at it. Now she's burrowed and waiting over there.
I want to see an Overlord come down, poop some creep, and just start a whole creep colony from there. You gotta do some good work.
That would be amazing. Interesting composition for Hut. Lots of tanks, lots of libs. It's a ground-pounding army for show. There are some Corruptors in the air. I don't think it's enough Corruptors, though. Actually, I think that's a terrible investment by Iaguz. He's building just enough Corruptors to make the Vikings really efficient and useful without them having to land. Like, they're not going to do much on the ground. I like this choice, though. So he says, you know what, if they're not going to work in the fight, I'll send them down and I'll use some caustic spray. They're going to unzip and try and take down that command center over there. Liberator's keeping up.
Oh, crashing through his Iaguz, just melting through this army. So many Banelings. And that's it. Only Vikings remain. A good 20 pop at least of Vikings. They should have probably been trying to deal with this this Corruptor.
The Banelings are going to make quick work of this command center. The Banelings rolling in as well. The Vikings are going to punish the Corruptors for this one. The CC goes down and the building CC is right there. It's actually still building right now. If he can keep that alive, maybe Hut can get back in this game. The Liberator in the top right has massacred one of Iaguz's only mining bases, killing a whole bunch of drones up there. But yeah, I mean, right now this is just tied neck and neck. It is so close.
It is. It's just constantly trading economies right now. But I feel like Iaguz has certainly got the better of it this time around. You know, he's dealt with the mining bases. There's only the one in the mid-right to really left, and there's still a couple for Iaguz.
It's a Viking party right now, and that's one way, you know, kill all the overlords.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is kind of nasty for Iaguz. Very frustrating. Does get his queens over. Good corrosive piles. Does actually hit a few of them. And obviously, if Hut loses all these Vikings, then Broodlords do become, you know, a viable transition again. So, as nice as this damage is, it's going to, force a lot more investment. It gets value out of the Vikings now. Hut still needs to try to find a way to rebuild the ground army. And unfortunately, losing that extra command center that was building and the planetary is what's really set him back. If he had a fresh mineral line to be dropping mules on right now, I would be much happier with Hut's chances of getting back in this game.
Yeah, completely agree. He could be using his main base right now. It's not mining at all. He could just simply float it on over, but hasn't decided to just yet. Hasn't thought about it. And that Overlord farm actually did some good damage considering how low the minimum income is for Iaguz right now.
Yeah.
It took him a while to get back into the good.
The Vikings trying to find utility wherever they can. They're a creep tumor assassination squad now. But Iaguz, what really stands out for me is how good his creep spread is. No matter what's happening in the game, you know, he's really taken to heart the power of creep against Terran. As someone who used to be a Terran player, Iaguz knows that this can win games in of itself. Hut, I feel like his army is so close to being just incredible and smashing Iaguz's, but he just needs like another good reinforcer Marines and Marauders. He doesn't have it though. He doesn't have the income to reinforce enough units. So it's just Siege Tank Liberator on its own, and there's too many Banelings.
So many Banelings crashing on through. Liberators still remain for now, but so many Queens, and from the back, down they go. Big bile hits.
Banelings from the front door, Queens in the back door, and the army goes down. Amazing there from Iaguz.
Wow. GG.
It's Catalyst, man, and Iaguz is just on fire, unstoppable in this matchup. I'm actually feeling good for him to beat Probe. If he can take that level of play into his other matchups, oh, dude, Iaguz is looking so healthy right now.
I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it completely. He is looking like a beast today. How do you think about that, Maynard?